Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build for the Darksong Knight subclass of the Sword Dancer of Eilistraee here. This is made by ZX10RX, the creator of the Mindweaver mod. This is going to be a level 20 build as they have full level 20 support. Really well done class mod. I've also previously covered the Sword Dancer, but here we're going to be doing the Darksong Knight. You can think of this like somewhat of a paladin. They get lunar smites, which deal cold and radiant damage to the enemy, and it's a lot of fun. Now, for the starting instrument, I'd recommend going with the flute here, as it's going to be similar to some of the instruments that Sword Dancer of Eilistraee do play. So this is going to be the lore accurate version. Now, for ability scores, I would recommend going with a stat spread of 16 dexterity, 14 constitution, 10 intelligence and wisdom, and 16 charisma here. And for skill proficiencies, we can add in persuasion if you're the face of the party, and having acrobatics is nice too to resist being shoved. Now, this is a very fun subclass, so I'll be breaking this all down for you in this video. Now, once we get to level 2, this is when we get our lunar smites. So this deals the normal weapon damage plus a 1d8 of cold and radiant damage, and the radiant damage increases by 1d8 if the target is a fiend or undead. We also have the critical reaction and the overall reaction here, so you can multi-classes and add this on. It works similar to the regular old paladin. The Moonlit Grace here, so your weapon flows the divine moonlight refined by the ages of grace of Eilistraee here. So when wielding a dagger, sickle, sword, rapier, scimitar, or longsword in your main hand without a shield, it gains a finesse property and counts as magical. In addition, we also get all the paladin spells here in a fighting style, which I would recommend taking defense. And for the prepared spells, command is a really nice one to have, so is bless, and then we'll take the other smites there. So yeah, the lunar smites are a really cool ability of this. At level 3, we get the Wave War Dancer here, so whenever we are using the special weapons that I've mentioned previously, you can War Dance 2 times per combat when hit by a melee attack, reducing the damage by 1d4 plus dexterity modifier plus half your Darksong Knight level. And you also cannot be hit with disease. And we get the Oath of the Darksong here, so empower yourself with the Grace of the Dark Maiden. You gain advantage on your next attack, and it deals an additional 1d4 of cold and radiant damage, and it does not proc an opportunity attack, so that's pretty powerful. And we also get the Demon's Bane here, so you channel the Fury of Eilistraee into fiends and undead, weakening their very essence. All Darksong spells and attacks will ignore any resistance and immunity the target has to all damage types, concentration using your Channel Oath charge. And then we get the action Eilistraee's Dance here, so you gain the benefits of freedom of move and disengage, advantage on dexterity saves, plus 2 to AC, can make a weapon attack as a bonus action whenever you proc this. And the nice thing is this also scales up as you continue in your level, so you're going to get an increase to your overall armor class. And you can take whatever spell here. At level 3, we get to choose from the Bard cantrips, and I think Vicious Mockery is a good choice. Outside of combat, you can go with Minor Illusion or Mage Hand, my personal favorite, because you can use it to throw healing potions at your team. And for our next feat, I would recommend a boost to the Charisma or our overall Dexterity. And once we get to level 5 here, we get ourselves an extra attack, which is always nice, Power Spike. And we get the Oath of the Darksong, Eilistraee's Moonlight, doing 1d10 of cold and radiant damage. And then it's basically Moonbeam with cold damage in addition. And we also get Lunar Shift, wrap yourself in silvery moonlight and vanish, reappear in an occupied space within 18 meters. We also get the increased spell level here, so we can take like Branding Smite and Aid if we would like for the extra spells here. And once we get to level 6, we get our Aura of Protection and our Charisma modifier to saving throws, which is always a nice feature to keep your team safe. Level 7 gives us the Aura of Truth, so you and any nearby allies within 3 meters can see through magical and non-magical darkness. This gets pretty powerful because darkness is so good in Baldur's Gate 3. Cannot be blinded, and in addition, gain a bonus to insight and stealth ability checks based on your charisma modifier. This aura disappears if you fall unconscious. Honestly, that's really good because now you can keep your team safe by hiding them in darkness, and you can all huddle up together, and you won't get attacked. They can do throwing attacks, but those are only single target attacks. At level 8, we get a feat, and at this point, I'd recommend boosting charisma up to 20 or taking the alert feat for that +5 to our initiative. And then at level 9, we get access to our level 3 spells and the Oath of the Darksong. Your Beacon of Hope, all allies regain max amount of hit points when healed, and they have advantage on wisdom saving throws, which is huge. So wisdom saves are very common and not ones you want to miss. So we'll also take Blinding Smite there, the Warden of Vitality. Elemental Weapon also works well there too, so we can roll with that as well. And once we get to level 10 here, we get the Aura of Courage. Cannot be frightened, permanent for 3 meters radius, so you can power up your team with that. Level 11 gives us a subclass feature, the Improved Lunar Smite, so our main attacks will get an additional 1d4 of cold and radiant damage on all attacks. That's really good. So, nice to have. Level 12 gives us another feat, so we can take alert at this level. Savage Attacker is another good choice to reroll your damage die. Level 13 gives us the Staggering Smite, which we do have our bonus cold and radiant damage there on the attack. This does use your bonus action too, but it does psychic damage, which can be doubled if you have the Resonance Stone. In addition, we also get Death Ward and the Aura Purity. You and your allies have immunity to disease, resistance to poison, and advantage on Constitution saving throws against Frightened, Charmed, Paralyzed, and Poisoned. 9-meter radius, so much larger radius. This does use your level 4 spell slot though, and a concentration. And we also get the Banish spell here. And again, you can continue to take some more of these spells here as you please. Staggering Smite, I guess, is a decent option, but we're going to be using our Lunar Smite often. At this level, we just get another level basically, so we can prepare another spell. Level 15 gives us additional health, and then once we get to level 16, we get to take a feat. At this point, if you want to get maximum survivability, Tough will give us an extra 40 health, 2 per level, which is really nice to have. In addition, Savage Attacker also works well to reroll your damage die on enemies, so that can also be really good. Level 17 gives us Banishing Smite, doing a 5d10 and possibly banishing your target, and Destructive Wave, which is a really powerful spell which knocks back targets and knocks them prone. And we also get the Bladesong Waltz here, so this does 3d10 of cold and radiant damage, teleport between 5 enemies within range, dancing through them with a flurry of strikes. Each hit channels the Eilistree's will, dealing a 3d10 cold and radiant damage, and this is always prepared, level 5 spell slot. That's really good. We want to use that often. As you can obviously imagine, it's pretty strong. Level 18, we just get to prepare another spell here, which is fine. And level 19, we get ourselves another feat. This level, I would recommend the Savage Attacker. It's just going to flat out increase your overall damage, and we already got our other options. Although you could also increase your dexterity there if you'd want to increase your overall attack rolls and armor class. So that's another option if you don't want Savage Attacker. And level 20, just give us an increase in their health, and we can prepare all the spells here. As you see, you can obviously swap around a few of these. They're not essential because we already got some other spells that are much more powerful, like Destructive Wave, and you see this here. So you can't use heavy armor. That's the only unfortunate part there. Just use it for the appearance aspect. And as for gear, I would recommend going with the Ring of Protection for a better armor class. The Snowburst Ring is essential because our main attack does additional cold damage, which will create an ice circle below the enemy, 4.5 meter circle, which is huge because it can make them slip and lose their concentrations. So we want to have the Disintegrating Night Rockers as well, so you can't slip on ice and you get a free Misty Step too, so that can work together well. In addition, there's some other options like the typically the Ring of Arcane Synergy would be nice, but our cantrips are kind of limited to the Eilistree's Moonlight there, so it's a little bit tricky to put that that ring on there, so you want to be mindful with certain items. Caustic Band is never a bad idea for additional damage, and if you want to use more of the spells, the Coruscation Ring can be nice because it will apply radiating orbs on the target to further protect your team. The Band of the Mystic Scoundrel is another nice choice because that gives us the ability to do commands as a bonus action, so that can be good if we want less armor class. We still got 27, which is great. We also got the Hell Rider Longbow for the +3 to initiative. I have the Helm of Baldur for better armor class, although you don't need to use that. The Haste Helm can be nice. Even the Helmet of Arcane Acuity will give you a better spell save DC so you can land your Destructive Wave a little bit more frequently, so that can be good. Also, an obvious choice would be the Birthright Hat, which will give us a +2 to our Charisma, so that's going to further increase, giving us a better aura of protection, the likes of that. Cloak of Protection, really any robe is going to work fine. We have the Armor of Agility here, best available, so Yuan-Ti in the early game. The Adamantine Scale Mail in Act 1 works really well too, so this, I use the dyes here from Faerun Colors to give us this appearance. We also have the Gloves of the Beleaguered Skies here, which is 2 turns of reverberation whenever you deal radiant damage, which we have on our main attacks and many of our other attacks, so we can proc that often. Although you can also go with the Winter's Crutches, so that whenever you do cold damage, you apply 2 turns of Encrusted with Frost on the target, which does work well with the Snowburst Ring and other cold base gear, so you could go that route too if you don't want the reverberation. But with this and the snow, we basically knock the targets prone often. And then we also got Disintegrating White Walkers, as I mentioned, and this here, which is great because if you read the item's description at the bottom, the drow inscription on this blade appears to have been recently carved. It translates through though I have to leave you, I will dance forever in Eilistree's light. So this is a nice weapon because the Fowler Aloof Melody actually can proc our other gear too. So really powerful weapon, and then also Viconia's Walking Fortress. So I'll show you what this looks like in combat here. Alternatively, we can remove our shield here and then add it. So my entire game crashed, unfortunately, so I had to go redo it, but you can also add in short swords like this Knife of the Undermountain King, and then use the Dolar Amaris in the offhand to boost up our critical hits, because when we hit a Lunar Smite with critical reaction, it hits really hard when you get the extra 7 damage there, so that can be a good choice as well. Also, if you're going to use piercing damage, you can swap from the armor of agility. It's not going to be lore accurate, but we can use the ballast armor because that'll double our piercing damage. So that can become really powerful because when we have our damage doubled, that's going to apply to our damage there. But the staggering smite can be doubled from the resonance stone. Our weapon damage will be doubled from that. So we actually hit extremely hard with that. So here, I'll show it off in combat. The nice thing about this class mod is it actually has the lunar smite reactions turned on automatically. So whenever you go to do your attacks, you'll be able to literally hit off with a nice lunar smite there. So one good thing about this class too is it again has the very powerful destructive wave, which you can hit in a huge area of effect, and we stack up extra radiating orbs here. So I recommend blasting away with this because again, it does a lot of damage and knocks targets prone. So then you get an easy advantage on your attack rolls. Also turn off your dual wielding there. So we just go in for an attack. We don't need the lunar smite on that, but it's fine. It's probably going to proc it anyways. Yeah, the extra damage there. I guess that's the extra damage from that there. But you can see we're creating ice surfaces whenever we do those attacks, which is pretty powerful. So then we can go ahead with our actual lunar smite there, which can scale all the way up if you wanted to add additional damage. It doesn't scale past the 4th level there, or I guess it does. It doesn't, yeah. So level 4, similar to the base game, is the highest level smite that you can do, but you're gonna see that's gonna be more than enough from the damage that it does. Yeah, a lot of damage. So extremely effective. But again, we also have the ability to create the vision. We can see the create so that our team can see within the dark, which is extremely powerful, as darkness can protect your entire team. So if you want to go that route, you can as well. But divine smite, never a bad option. And then we also have the bonus action. So with the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel, that gives us the options for like bless, command, the compelling duel, vicious mockery, heroism if you want to, and Tasha's hideous laughter. I think it's best to go with the command and tell them all to approach us. And then we can also upcast this even higher, which is really good because then we can use this to crowd control and pull enemies towards us. So I'm going to move over here a little bit more and then use that extra command because it's really useful for pulling enemies, and I need a little bit more movement speed. If there's any enemies in an area that you need to move towards you, so like for example, I can't move over here, it's always a good idea to drop a command on them. So not likely to hit that, but we hit all 3 of them, so it's perfect. And then they'll come to us. What's also nice is you can do command approach and make them slip and fall on ice, and then that's kind of a 2-in-1. You can get them towards you and also get the extra damage in. So they unfortunately did make it close to us, but again, destructive wave is a very powerful spell. And then we also got our Bladesong Waltz that we can use as well. So the Bladesong Waltz allows us to hit multiple targets. So we can go boom, 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 and then unfortunately not enough room to hit those targets there. So let's go ahead and use the Bladesong Waltz on these. You need to have 5 targets to get the maximum effectiveness on this, but we can just go ahead with 3 there to show off what this looks like. Boom, teleporting around, slashing away, healing your cold and radiant damage, and then applying those difficult terrains. What's great about this as well is whenever you pop that, it can also apply radiating orbs with the correct gear. So early game you can use the gear that procs off radiant damage. And then we can again go ahead with another one of these. I use the free cast there to get a free version of it. But this is like the alpha omega skill that it brings. So decent range on it. Boom, slashing through and finishing them all off. I guess that's still one more. And when in doubt, we always have our lunar smites. It's really the best ability of here. The Aura of Truth is really nice though too. For this area, you get that ability to see within darkness. So you can shoot that down, have a teammate shoot a darkness arrow there, and your whole team will be protected. And otherwise, lunar smite, finish off the targets that aren't finished. Boom. That extra cold and radiant damage is really effective. So we'll then go ahead with another one there to finish them off, and there it is. Now the thing is with the if you have the Knife of the Undermountain King there, light shadows like that will give you advantage, so you're never going to miss really with this. That's why we have the 99% chance of hitting. But really cool class mod. All these you can also cast with your flute. It looks cool, and I'm a big fan of that. The Aura of Truth as well creates this bubble here where we can see into the darkness there, which is so useful because if you're ever in a combat situation where you need to see within darkness, you can easily just pop that down. So you can just pop this, and there you go. You can see within your own darkness, giving you the immunity to blindness and for all your team as well. So great defensively, great offensively. There's a lot to love with this. So again, this is the Sword Dancer of Eilistraee build here by ZX10RX. Highly recommend checking it out. It's available on console as well. So let me know your thoughts on this build in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video.